Stop. Before you watch another second, answer this in your mind. Why do the men who talk the least always seem to get the most respect? What I'm about to reveal isn't self-help fluff. It's a psychological weapon Machiavelli wrote about centuries ago. Strategic silence. The art of revealing nothing while controlling everything. 99% of men give away power through words, but the mysterious 1%, they win without ever raising their voice. Stay with me. Because if you master this, people will chase your approval, fear losing access to you, and assume you're 10 times stronger than you actually are. Before we go deeper, answer this in the comments. Have you ever noticed someone who barely spoke, yet everyone watched them? Comment, silence is power, if you've seen it or felt it. Chapter 1, The Hidden Power of Mystery. Machiavelli taught rulers to appear unpredictable, not just in decisions, but in communication. Because when people cannot read you, they cannot control you, they cannot anticipate your moves, they cannot prepare defenses. Mystery forces respect because it forces uncertainty. Watch any social environment, a classroom, an office meeting, a family dinner. The loudest person rarely has authority. The quiet observer does. Why? Because silence makes others fill the space with assumptions. They project strength, intelligence, danger, competence, superiority. Our minds fear the unknown more than the known. A mysterious man becomes a psychological mirror. People reveal who they are while trying to figure him out. He wins without opening his mouth. We live in a world addicted to expression. Men broadcast feelings, goals, opinions, insecurities, failures. They bleed information constantly. Machiavelli would call this strategic suicide. Every word you give is ammunition someone can use against you later. Enemies don't need to attack if you hand them the blade. The mysterious man never exposes himself unnecessarily. He speaks when it benefits him, never when it benefits others. Most people talk constantly because silence forces self-reflection. When someone else is silent, they panic internally. What are they thinking? Did I say something wrong? Why aren't they reacting? Silence is pressure. When you remain calm and unreadable, others become anxious. They'll try to impress you. They'll overshare. They'll explain themselves even when you ask nothing, because they need relief. They need certainty. They need validation. Your silence becomes leverage. Now pause. Here's a brutal truth most people refuse to admit. The man who talks least is usually the one with options. Silence signals abundance, emotional control, confidence, self-sufficiency, internal validation. Talking compulsively signals scarcity, need for approval, lack of control, insecurity, dependence. People respect self-contained men. They distrust those who leak emotion uncontrollably. Machiavelli warned princes to conceal intentions. He wrote, "A prince is much safer to be feared than loved if he must choose." But fear, misunderstood, becomes brutality. What Machiavelli really meant was psychological fear, the tension created when others cannot predict your thoughts or emotions. That kind of fear is silent, invisible, unspoken. A mysterious man doesn't threaten anyone. He simply makes others unsure how to act around him. That uncertainty forces respect. Imagine two men enter a room. One speaks loudly, cracks jokes, explains everything he believes, brags about his achievements. The other stands quietly, makes no effort to be noticed, watches without reacting. Who do people worry about more? Who do they avoid crossing? Who seems more dangerous? The one revealing nothing. Because unpredictability is power. When someone questions them, they rush to explain why they're late, why they made a decision, why they feel a certain way. Every explanation is a confession. Every justification is a surrender. A mysterious man never explains unless strategically necessary. His silence forces others to accept uncertainty, and uncertainty breeds caution. Mystery isn't rudeness. It isn't manipulation. It isn't social withdrawal. Mystery is restraint, discipline, selective disclosure. It's choosing when to speak, not avoiding speaking. It's emotional containment, not emotional suppression. It's strategic silence, not passive silence. The mysterious man understands timing. He holds back until speaking creates maximum impact. Chapter 2. Machiavelli's Tactics of Strategic Silence. Most men think silence is passive. They're wrong. Silence is a weapon, a deliberate psychological strike, a move on the chessboard. Machiavelli understood this. He taught that to gain power, a man must learn not just what to say, but when to say nothing, because restraint forces others to reveal themselves first. In war, the side who shows plans early loses. In politics, the one who talks too much dies. In modern life, the man who overshares gives away leverage. So here are the Machiavellian methods. The mysterious 1% used to dominate social dynamics quietly. Most men rush to speak. They fear silence. They crave attention. When you speak last, you gather intel. You observe alliances, you read power structures, you predict outcomes. And when you finally speak, people listen, because you broke silence strategically. Speaking last tells the room, I don't need approval. I came to decide, not to impress. Reactions expose vulnerability. If someone insults you and you react, they win. If someone teases you and you defend yourself, they win. The mysterious man remains unreadable. He is cold, calm, unbothered. When people cannot trigger you, they lose emotional control. Your silence becomes dominance, not aggressive dominance, psychological dominance. Machiavelli warned rulers to avoid revealing intentions. A question reveals little. An explanation reveals everything. Ask targeted questions. What made you decide that? Who told you this? Why now? Then stay silent. People expose alliances, motives, fears, because silence pressures them to fill space. This tactic turns conversations into intelligence extraction. Weak men linger. They chase connection. They need validation. Powerful men exit strategically. When energy shifts, when value declines, when conversation becomes emotional before revealing too much. Leaving first signals emotional independence. It says, I control my time. I don't need this interaction. The man who stays too long becomes predictable, and predictable men are easy to manipulate. Do not announce boundaries. Demonstrate them silently. Example, someone disrespects you subtly. Instead of explaining your standards, withdraw access. Silence stings more than lectures. When men defend themselves verbally, they weaken their position. When men enforce boundaries silently, others adjust behaviors instinctively. Most men hear words. Powerful men hear motives. During silence, observe tone, insecurity agendas, alliances, manipulation attempts. Silence isn't emptiness. It's analysis, calculation, positioning. Machiavelli warned rulers to mistrust appearances. He taught to read underlying ambition, never surface expressions. Pay attention now. This next truth separates the powerful from the powerless. If you cannot control your tongue, others will control your fate. Thousands of men ruined careers, relationships, and futures, not because of violence, but because of words. Loose lips don't just sink ships. They sink reputations. They sink opportunities. They sink power. Silence protects you from yourself. Emotional explanations invite negotiation. When someone asks why, give calm, minimal reasoning. That's my decision. This works better for me. No justification, no debate, no apology. The mysterious man's decisions become final by default because he doesn't open the door to persuasion. Sometimes silence requires absence. Machiavelli advised rulers to vanish temporarily to increase value. Absence reinforces power. Because people notice missing value, imagination fills the void, uncertainty increases attraction, scarcity magnifies demand. A strategic disappearance forces others to wonder, where did he go? What is he planning? Did we push too far? Silence becomes fear. Not fear of violence, fear of consequences unknown. Silence inserted mid-conversation creates psychological imbalance. When someone asks a question, wait 2 seconds before answering. This signals deliberation, strength, self-control. Fast responses signal eagerness and emotional exposure. Slow responses project dominance. It's not acting superior, it's simply refusing impatience. Mystery thrives on minimalism. Say less, imply more. Examples. Instead of, I'm busy this week, say, I have commitments. Instead of, I'm working on a new project, say, I'm building something. Instead of explaining emotions, say, I'll handle it. Ambiguity forces imagination. Imagination amplifies your perceived significance. Now you know how silence creates psychological dominance. But here's the trap most men fall into. They understand silence intellectually. Yet when emotions hit them, anger, betrayal, heartbreak, they break formation. Chapter 3 will show you the exact steps to apply strategic silence in real situations. Rejection, disrespect, betrayal, conflict, negotiation, love. You'll learn how to weaponize calm so that people regret ever underestimating you, not through revenge or confrontation, but through transformation. Prepare yourself. Chapter 3. The execution, turning silence into power. You now understand the philosophy. You've seen the strategy. But strategy without execution is fantasy. So now we enter the final stage, how to apply strategic silence in real life, starting today, not someday, not when you feel ready, now, because silence loses power if it's inconsistent. A weapon unused becomes dull. These are Machiavelli's applications for building unshakable social power, quietly. Weak men respond instantly. They raise voices. They defend themselves. They send long paragraphs explaining their side. This gives the offender power, because emotional reaction reveals insecurity. Here's the silent method. Pause. Maintain eye contact. Say nothing. Let them explain or backtrack. Leave the interaction confidently. You don't argue. You don't apologize. You don't try to clear your name. They will replay that silence in their head, trying to read it. Silence forces them to judge themselves. Most men panic. They double text. They try harder. This trains others to devalue their presence. Machiavelli would instruct, withdraw all attention immediately. Silence equals scarcity. Scarcity increases value. Attention becomes currency, and powerful men do not beg with currency. If they reach out later, reply minimally. Not cold, not rude, just neutral and disciplined. It communicates, my presence is a privilege, not a default. Machiavelli warned rulers, when you forgive too fast, you invite repeated offense. Silence does not mean tolerance. It means recalculating. Here's what people don't expect. Not drama, not revenge, not explanation, just distance. Cut access quietly. You don't announce, you hurt me. You crossed the line. I deserve better. These speeches give power to the betrayer. Silent withdrawal forces them to imagine consequences. Most people fear imagination more than confrontation. In business, social circles, and negotiation, information is ammunition. The person who talks more loads the other person's weapon. So ask precise questions. Let others reveal. Fears, interests, insecurities, emotional triggers, future plans. You remain unreadable. Predictable men lose leverage. Unpredictable men control outcomes. This is the final test, because silence is hardest when emotions surge. Anger demands expression. Ego demands rebuttal. Fear demands reassurance. But silence allows logic to return. If you train yourself to pause before reacting, you unlock self-control damage, avoidance, improved negotiation outcomes, attractive, composure, long-term advantage. Machiavelli would say, he who controls himself controls everything. Use this routine for the next 30 days. If you commit fully, You will become unreadable, calm, attractive, intimidating, and not through force, but inner power. Count to 3 before speaking when triggered. Observe reactions instead of reacting. Speak 30–40% less. Goal: weaken impulse to fill silence. Stop justifying decisions. Stop narrating feelings automatically. Stop seeking reassurance. Goal: detach identity from others' approval. Respond minimally. I'll think about it. That doesn't work for me. I have plans. Goal: reduce information leakage. Not ghosting, not manipulation, just quiet distance to reflect, improve, build, observe reactions. Goal: become unpredictable, not unavailable. Now, pause. This next truth will shake you. Most men will fail this challenge, not because silence is hard, but because validation addiction is stronger. They need to be seen, heard, understood, agreed with. Strategic silence requires emotional independence. Without independence, silence collapses into insecurity. So ask yourself now, do you want validation or victory? If you adopt these habits consistently, here's what will happen. Disrespect will stop. People will watch what they say around you. Those who left will quietly return. You'll attract higher value relationships. Power will accumulate subtly, slowly, relentlessly. You won't demand respect. You'll command it without speaking. Because silence isn't absence. It's presence amplified. Machiavelli understood that power flows to the unpredictable man. People fear what they cannot read, and they respect what they cannot control. Imagine the expression on the faces of those who doubted you when you finally stop explaining yourself and start elevating silently. Imagine a life where people treat you carefully, not because you threaten them, but because you don't need them. That is the power of strategic silence. That is Machiavelli's art. If you're done being overlooked, if you're ready to build quiet dominance, comment "Silence is power" below. Tap like, subscribe, and re-watch this when emotions threaten your composure. Remember, a loud man demands respect. A silent man receives it.